formative years.
Welcome everyone. We'll be waiting just 30 seconds for everyone to open the door, grab a seat, grab a coffee. Everyone's coming in now. Welcome Kavi. Hey, welcome Sam. Good to see you guys come on board today.
Good day.
I love your backgrounds. We've seem to be coordinated. This is amazing.
Yeah, well synced.
This is the first time we've actually coordinated all three same backgrounds. Very impressed. Sam, well done for getting that up. We know you're big builder fingers, can't press keypads very well.
That's rough, mate. That's rough.
Did a great job. Cool.
Thanks, mate.
All right, let's get into it. So kia ora and welcome to another Future Skills Academy webinar. My name is Rob McClay. Today, we're going to be talking about best practice around negotiating techniques in the building sector. During this webinar, Future Skills Building lecturer Sam Hay will take you through the foundational tools of negotiation and answer your questions. Sam has developed a deep understanding of human behavior and psychology during more than a decade of working as a senior negotiator in building litigation. Sounds like he works for the FBI. During the webinar, he'll teach you to elevate your communication and negotiating skills. At the end of the webinar, you'll also have the chance to hear about the building control and surveying programs we have on offer here at Future Skills Academy. So just a little bit about Sam. He holds a New Zealand diploma in building surveying, a certificate in carpentry, and a certificate in advanced trade in carpentry. He has worked for Wellington City Council as a technical specialist, team leader of compliance and a claims manager. He has served on working groups for the Ministry of Business and Innovation and Employment, and as a regional maintenance manager for Housing New Zealand. So great street creds there, lovely. Relationship manager Kavi Sudale is also on board. He'll be here to answer your questions throughout the webinar. So feel free to type away and pop those questions in. We will endeavour to answer them throughout the webinar. So a little bit about Future Skills. We've been operating since 2001. We're a leading Category 1 training provider with campuses in Manukau, Royal Oak, and also offer online delivery. We also have an international campus in partnership with Otago Polytechnic in Auckland CBD, with programs ranging from diplomas to masters. Whew, mouthful there. Welcome, Sam, and thanks for joining myself and viewers today. I'm really looking forward to hearing all about the best way to negotiate in the building industry. For me personally, not being a builder myself, the closest I've ever been to negotiating in this area is when I popped down to Bunnings to get a few 2x4s for my poorly built projects around the house. Sam, can you help me?
Well, I don't know. I hope I can. I guess some people may just need more help than others. But look, thank you for the really warm introduction. Actually, when you hear people say some of the things you do, or in this case I've done, I tend to look around and go, geez, are they talking about me? But listen, what I've learned has probably come across from hundreds of mediations and pieces of litigation over, say, the last 10 to 15 years. So, but firstly, look, thank you for your time for being here. What I'm going to do is talk about what I'll call a high-level approach to negotiation. And that's because we need a framework to hang our knowledge on. So every subject I'm going to talk about could be a subject in its own right. But nonetheless, I'm going to stick to a high-level view and hopefully bring that all together at the end. Now, one of the issues I see, one of the issues I see is the idea of negotiating, or even just asking for what you want. It can be pretty scary for a lot of people. Unfortunately, some people tend to associate negotiation with confrontation. And the problem is, well, we all respond to confrontation in different ways. So just by way of an example, I once worked with a person at a council that responded to a complaint from a homeowner that was really little more than an inquiry with the words, "What choice do you have? Our reputation is so bad, no one's going to care." And then finished it off with the phrase, "Good luck." And this is where this sort of journey, I guess, at least trying to explain it today, started. See, as an individual and as an organisation, there was a need to get better. The problem is, where do you go to get better? So I got permission to attend a number of events with the police negotiating team. And on one occasion, with firearms in a house, the family was held at knife point. Dad was holding mum and 3 kids hostage. Now, I can't emphasise this to you enough. Traditional business strategies, they just had no place here. The idea of playing hardball or going in high and coming out low, talking over the other person, raising your voice, weren't going to work. Now, absurdly, if you try and apply some kind of business model to this situation, at 8:30 this morning, based on time on site, we can rescue 4 out of 5 hostages, but that's a 20% asset loss, but an 80% return on investment, right? So it is rather farcical. And that's simply because business models all focus on balance sheets and arguments. So this was about people. And that's the driving message I've got for today, is that when you focus on people, all your results improve, including financial. And that's because we've all got something in common. And that is we're all fallible. By and large, we all want to be validated and feel safe. See, all humans have emotions. And that's the secret that no one tells you, is emotion is the stock and trade of being a really good negotiator. Now, it can help us understand that link between what we perceive as our logical thinking and our emotions. And you go, well, what the heck does that mean? So if I triggered that a little bit and I'd say, well, how would you feel if someone stole your pet? Or someone said, I'm going to burn down your home? Or you've received a phone call to say your family has been in some form of hideous car crash. See, it's understandable that emotions take over. But you say, hang on, Sam, those are really extreme examples. Of course they're going to take over. And I go, yeah, they will. But in actually everyday life, it's not always the content of a conversation that can do it. Sometimes it's the structure of a conversation that can equally trigger our emotions. And sometimes it's even less the content and actually just the style of that conversation. Excuse me. See, sometimes conversations can feel like a tennis match, right? They're not openly aggressive, but it's like hitting an idea back and forth. Okay? It's kind of like a formal debate, but it's not got the same rules. So, for example, you serve a tennis ball and you get a cricket ball back. Now, because we've been taught to be polite, we wait for this pause in conversation, and then we throw our rugby ball back over the net, and then we get a netball back. Okay, this is called taking your turn to talk, right? We're talking at each other and not to each other, and it's really common. And I'd challenge you to go and listen to some conversations just to watch it. Now, if I extrapolate that, right, and we would, and to just as an example, someone said, "Hey, have you put the rubbish out?" And the response is, "But we've run out of milk." And the first person says, well, but the rubbish comes tomorrow. And then we get back, well, actually, we have no milk, and that means no breakfast. Now, obviously, in this case, milk and rubbish are completely disjointed, all right? That's just but one style. But in an office, you might equally hear well, I don't want to be difficult, but, well, now I'm going to be difficult. Or you might get the truncated version of that, the simple yes, but. Or my personal favorite, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job, and now I'm going to tell you how to do your job. See, the problem is both parties are proceeding on the basis that, well, they're being heard, and they just carry on. See, in this context, winning or getting what you want involves steamrolling the other person. Might as well call it blunt force trauma. Now this is where the rubber meets the road. You say, do you really think someone that's been steamrolled into something is honestly open to accepting and implementing your ideas? From a leadership perspective, do you really think someone that's been steamrolled or bulldozed into something is going to act as an advocate for you in your absence? But actually, at a more personal level, do you really want to live with or work with someone that feels they've been forced into something? So, now, the relevance of all of that is, see, when you want to influence someone, it starts with one simple, inalienable truth that's got absolutely nothing to do with you. It's all about the other person. And there's another truth that comes into it, that no matter how heated a situation might get, I bet the person on the other side, the person who you're dealing with, well, I bet they feel they deserve respect. So in this definition, and this way of looking at the world, respect isn't what you say it is, right? You can't tell someone you respect them. So imagine the police, hey, we've got you surrounded, we respect you, just come out. It's just farcical, it doesn't work, right? Now, the easiest way of showing someone you respect them is to give someone all your attention and just accept them as they are. Now, you're going to go, well, Sam, that's really soft, that's really wimpy. But this is the approach of therapists, psychologists, and counselors. Okay, now for it to work, you've got to be genuine. Now, my colleagues give me a bit of a hard time for this. For it to work, you have to be channeling Oprah. Okay, Oprah Winfrey. The reason I say that is this. Oprah is amazing at giving people her attention. Her body language is obvious. She's got a really calm tone of voice, and the outcome is, hey, this is just a safe place to speak. Now, I'm not suggesting for a moment that across businesses across the country, we all go and buy couches and sit down and start interviewing members of the public and singing Kumbaya and breaking out cuddles. In fact, far from it. But what the science tells us is when someone can write down their emotions and then verbalize them, it can have a therapeutic effect. But when those emotions are expressed back to us, that therapeutic effect is enhanced and have a really high degree of emotional benefit. Now, what does that mean? Also, when negative issues, and importantly, their associated feelings are said out loud, the chemical reason in the brain that's supporting them is just removed. Now, we can use this to neutralize or even remove anger towards us. Now, but one approach to do this is that if you're walking into a conflictual situation, you can make a list of the worst things that can be leveled against you. Sorry, that can be leveled against you and verbalize them. Okay, you can use it to neutralize negative emotion. Now, some of you will probably, like myself, have said the occasional foolish thing in an office, and it means you have to go and address it. That might be with the individual, or it might be with the manager, and that might sound like, yeah, you think I'm an idiot, or I should have come to you with this first, or yes, I did that. It's my mistake and I'm wrong. Now, you might think that's bizarre to state negative out loud like that, but it works. Now, I want to change gears just on this to help put a lot of this into context, and I'm going to attempt very shortly to share my screen, so let's hope this works. The biggest part of getting what we want, and you're going to probably disagree with me here, is actually not to be agreed with, right? So here we're going to try the screen sharing routine. Let's hope it works. Right, with luck, you're seeing my screen. Right.
What's up? What's well?
Right.
Cheers.
Cool. Okay. See, I don't want to be agreed with. If I want to get my way on an issue, I don't want you to say I'm right. Okay. I just need you to let go of what led you to think I was wrong in the first place. Okay. Now, I was dealing with a gang as part of that job. And as part of that role for Housing New Zealand, they were vandalising a whole suburb, terrorising the local community. Then they'd call Housing New Zealand, well, this is at least when it was Housing New Zealand, and call for contractors to come and fix it. They would then threaten the contractors at their homes, follow them home, and so on and so forth. So that's the circumstance, right? To get what I wanted out of the situation, I didn't need to prove them factually wrong and me factually right. I just needed the guys that I was dealing with to let go of what led them to think I was wrong in the first place. See, these guys were at war with Housing New Zealand. And to influence and to get what I needed, I didn't need to prove I was right, just this middle zone where, well, you're just not wrong. And the road to getting there was quite simple. I had to attack it at face value. I had to attack the grounds for which the premise was held. Things like, he's just like everyone else in that office. He's judging us, disrespecting us, and they're all the same. Very, very simple. Very, very simple ground rules, okay? And this is because decisions aren't made normally in a binary yes or no manner, right? They're more of a continuum. And I want to shift someone from the hard no to this middle zone where you're just not wrong. You say, Sam, you're just talking out a hole in your head, mate. You're just playing with words. And I go, actually, no, I'm not. See, the hard no, I'm getting nothing. And if I'm pushing for a yes, I've got all the negative connotations that come with trying to get a yes out of someone, the hard sell, the sales pitch. It's a subtle move away. But in this middle zone, someone's more open to hearing what I want, right? But they just got none of the negative connotations of giving me a yes. Now, the first tool and where I started, no matter who you're dealing with, I bet they feel they deserve respect. And in this case, a gang member. And if you ignore that opportunity to give respect at a strategic level, you've just shut your options down. So despite my view of gangs, well, what am I there for? I'm not there to judge, and I'm not there to give a moral lesson. I'm there to get a change in behaviour. They need to stop threatening my contractors. Now, I knew I was getting close when the customer said to me, he said, you know what? You're the first guy that's just come here and listened. Now, notice I started calling him a customer. See, this is about me respecting him, irrespective of that gang patch. And he even made me a cup of tea, right? Now, how did I do it? And specifically, how did I get there? So I want to change gears again here, okay? And what I'd like you to imagine is that you're dealing with a classic leaky building, and you're going to a mediation for that leaky building, and you've got an opportunity in the morning to address the homeowner, to set the tone for the day. Now, I would encourage anybody who's in that environment to take that opportunity to set the tone. But just while I'm talking about a leaky building, it actually could be anything, okay? And we've got two major tools we can use: sympathy and empathy. But I'd caution you, they're very different. And if we set the tone using sympathy, you might get words to the effect of, hey, this should never have happened to you. Your house is leaking. That's terrible. In fact, I think it's wrong. Is everyone okay? The council had one job to do, and this is the result. Wow. You see, sympathy is easy. Anyone can do it. You're just agreeing with the other side, but it paints you into a corner. And in this context, actually, guess what? You're going to concede liability. But we've got this other tool we can use, and it's a beauty, right? Empathy. It's acknowledging what's happened, but I'm not going to agree with anything they've said. Just think of it this way. You see the council as big, faceless and uncaring. You're angry we're even here today. You feel the council had one job to do on your house, and you believe they got it wrong. You say the council has caused you stress, irreparable harm, and you feel disrespected. You believe your biggest asset is ruined, and you're angry. Now, notice this statement does something else. I've stated the negative, okay? But I've done something also. I've shut down the amygdala, the part of the brain that generates negative emotions. There's something else going on as I do that. By stating it out loud, the situation just as they see it from their perspective, I'm letting them know we get it. This side of the table just gets it. The brilliance of that is they get to see us more like them. And all you've done is remove the chemical reason in the brain for them feeling negative towards you in the first place. Now, when someone sees you more like them, your ability to influence is massively enhanced. This is a huge, huge part of the police negotiating toolkit. And for it to work, you've got to be channeling Oprah Winfrey. Now, there's a bit more to it than this. So how are we going to get there? Okay. We're going to use summary statements. Things like it sounds like and it seems like. I'm going to pull the word I out of all of my discussions. Okay. I focuses the listener on you, not the problem. Okay. And I'm going to keep using summary statements. I'm going to use the phrase rinse and repeat. We're going to rinse and repeat until we've got this magical phrase that's going to come up. It's called a situational acknowledgement. And a situational acknowledgement is where the listener is saying, hey, you've got this right, mate. You've actually understood what I'm saying. And they're going to use the phrases like, yep, you've got that in one, or a that's right, or a spot on. If it's in a formal mediation sense, you might find they clasp their hands and they gently rock and keep eye contact with you. Okay. They're not acknowledging you're right. They're acknowledging you've surmised their situation correctly. Now, one of the things just to bear in mind, as that's taking place, you're in a dispute with these people, presumably, and they're going to want to disagree with you, and you're going to get the reflex no response, right? Really cool. Now, this is probably my attempt at humor. You should know saying no to no is no good. So I think I've got that grammatically correct. But nonetheless, the word no is really important, and they're going to disagree with you. And you are quite likely to get a response that says, no, I don't see the council as big, faceless and uncaring. In that agreement, you now know they're open to a new idea. And if you don't derail yourself, your idea. Now, here's the point. This word no quite often has a different meaning than what we normally think it does. It's really fundamental for understanding negotiation. Okay. Now, I first discovered this when I had my small children, and then I didn't put it into context till years later. So my kids are at the dining room table and they're in the high chair and I'm trying to feed them, putting pumpkin soup everywhere. All right. What feels like an act of defiance when they turn their head is not an academic argument. The kids aren't sitting there at that age going, well, you know what, mate, I've had my 5 a day. No, they're not saying, look, I'm carbo loading for preschool tomorrow. They're not doing that. That act of defiance, or what you see as an act of defiance, has more to do with the statement of autonomy than it does an academic argument. And here's the rub. From an early age, it's programmed into all of us. Okay? People will fight tooth and nail to preserve their autonomy. So one of the rules I have with negotiation is you don't fight people's autonomy, you give it to them. In its most simple terms, no's, the word no, when it's exercised by the other party, has more to do with a statement of autonomy. And yeses, trying to seek the word yes, has more to do with a hard sell. So no's free up emotions. So I go looking for them, right? So a real example of say a no question. So I've got a very good friend of mine who responds to a request from his son with the word no. He goes, Dad, can I have? And he goes, no, right. Well, the no means anything but the no. Dad's setting the scene and he'll say yes when and if he wants to, right? He's just set the tone for this negotiation. His son goes, cool, Dad said no, it's okay to carry on now. Right? The point is this, yeses feel like a hard sell and they create barriers, no's lower them. And this really creates a problem because what people mean and what people say can be disjointed. Now, I would never say an opposite of a no is a yes and vice versa, but I want to run through some examples. If we were at home and you were talking with your kids, and we'll just pull this up. Okay, let's run through these examples. You should tidy your room. You should do your homework. Can you help with the dishes? And you get the response, yeah, you're right. It's really messy. I'll get right onto it. That's code for whatever. No, they're not. Okay, that's a personal acknowledgement. Okay. When someone's bothering you in the office and you just want them to go away, what do you say? Yeah, you're right. Right? It's a personal acknowledgement. You've placated the situation. You've been told, yeah, I'll tidy my room, but come back the next day, it isn't going to be tidy. We all know that. See, but once we've lowered the barriers and we've got the word no, and we've actually got a personal acknowledgement out of the way, and we've actually got a situation acknowledgement, we need to change the direction of where people are going. Okay. Now, some of you will think this is bizarrely weak or even foolish. We're going to do it with some very simple questions. Now, the questions are normally called reporters' questions. So the how, the what, and the when, right? All called Socratic questions. But there's a dynamic that's taking place when we ask these questions. Okay. The person answering the questions feels in control because they're the one talking. And the person asking the questions is providing that direction. Okay. So I'll say it again. The person answering feels in control. That's critical. Now, before we get into just what those questions will look and sound like, just a word of caution. But avoid the word why. Okay, why is a really dangerous word to use, and I'm going to give you an example. Why haven't you tidied your room? Sounds like an accusation. Or if I want to up the stakes, I'll talk to the gang member. Why are you following our contractors home? Why would I pitch a question that's just going to lead to aggression? Okay, very, very dangerous place to be. Okay, and ineffective. Okay, instead, the question can become to, if you're at home, what's stopping you tidying your room? If you want to combine that question with a bit of autonomy, is there any reason you can't tidy your room? Right? The answer to that just becomes a really, really simple no. Right? Again, delivery is everything. Right? You're not accusing anyone of anything. But the important bit here is you need to allow silence for it to work. So I'm going to give you some examples of how I addressed the gang that I was dealing with. Okay, the painters have nothing to do with Housing New Zealand. What are you hoping to achieve by going to their homes? And then silence. If the builder complains, what do you think the impact of this might be on your court case? And then silence. These guys are scared. They don't want to come back. I see you need work done. How am I supposed to deal with that? And now silence. See, he's in control. I'm just posing a question where I want the conversation to go. The open-ended question allows for his contemplation and deliberation, and the silence allows for that to take place. Now you go, well, those are really extreme examples, and we don't have to deal with a gang. And I go, yeah, good. I hope you don't. But if you're a BCO and you would say, hey, and the question comes in, I've never had to supply that before, or a variation of it. So, well, I'm sorry, considering the plans, how am I meant to continue without it? You might have the guy say, you guys take ages and your fees are high. Well, fees are charged on time taken. Given the gaps in compliance, how am I meant to do that any quicker? And then silence. Okay? The big issue is people jump all over their silence. And if you're at home and things aren't going well and someone says, do I look fat in this? Right? You don't give that answer that you might do. You go, how does the other one look? And then silence. Right? You just need to have an idea of where you want this conversation to go. Now, I realize I'm dragging on, so I just want to wrap up a bit, and I want to bring all of this into a nice package. I had a mediation a couple of years ago that had taken me 18 months to get these people in the door. And about 9 o'clock at night, they were just losing it and they were about to walk out the door. They were angry. They were frustrated. They'd had enough. Right? If they had left, it would have been bad for the council, yes, but it would have been devastating for them. What happens when you tell an angry person not to do something? Well, they don't do it. Right? What happens when you yell at it or raise your voice at an angry person? They yell back, or they're going to do whatever they're going to do. Right? I needed a point of self-reflection. So once I caught up to them and they're standing at the elevator, the simple question was this: what do you hope to achieve by leaving? And then silence. Now that's delivered, and again, without anger. It's just a neutral statement. Now, what I've been doing today is I've been working my way up what's called the FBI's behavioural change stairway model, or people who deal with it just call it the BCSM. And the risk of me putting it on the screen is really simple, is that you think it's a tick box exercise and you go, I've done active listening, I'll move on to empathy or rapport, right? Problem is we're dealing with people, right? This is just a guide. And I have studied this at length, but it is just a guide, right? And I would emphasize to you, this is about people and connection. So with the gang member, only once I had listened and I knew that he understood did I move on. And only then, once he started seeing me more like him, did I proceed to influence him. See, when we are trying to get what we want out of any given situation, what we're trying to do is create an emotional situation where whoever you're dealing with will just let go of the idea that we were wrong long enough for them to see us like them, and then long enough to build an element of trust, at least trust the idea of what we're saying is right. And for that to work, you need to be channeling Oprah Winfrey. So, gentlemen, at 29 minutes past 12, that's how I let you have my way.
Oh, brilliant, Sam. That was very informative. I was writing down a few notes around sympathy versus empathy. Those how, what, and when types of questions. Definitely going to use, just personally with my family, going to test them out. I do have a teenage daughter that I'll be testing that on her. So thanks a lot for that. I do appreciate it. So we are sort of running out of time quickly, but if anyone's got any questions, please do so now. I'm going to hand you over to Kavi, so it's going to quickly go over our programs, wrap that's wrapped around this webinar. Over to you, Kavi.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you all for attending, and thanks, Sam. It's really impactful presentation. And you guys are probably wondering what the link is between this presentation and Future Skills Academy. So yeah, this is one of the aspects that we teach. So if you look at some of our programs, if you look at the Building Regulatory Environment program, course 3 is all about communication. And these are some of the things that we would talk about in our programs, in our classrooms. And if you look at the diploma in building surveying, if you look at, you can go onto our website to find out more about our programs. But disputes resolution is one of our courses in year 2. So who better than Sam? And I think Peter is also quite well versed in this area. So these are the people that are teaching our programs. And what we do at Future Skills is bring your coursework to life through these and other examples. Now, lecturers come from industry and have dealt with this year in, year out through their vast experience. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what we cover in our programs and how we link and bring that coursework to life. So yeah, joining on to one of our programs, the Building Regulatory Environment, for those that are involved in the building consenting process, dealing with stakeholders and brushing up the communication skills within the building control environment. And then the Regulation 18 program for technical officers within the building regulatory environment, within the building control environment. This is how we create that link. So this is a little taster, a little sort of mock lecture as such, and some of the things that we teach. But it's not just teaching the coursework. It's not just ticking that Regulation 18 box. It's about bringing your coursework to life with real world examples and linking the relevance of what you're doing out there in the field of building control with the qualification to make it more meaningful. So thanks, Sam. You're a great example of what we cover in our programs, how we kind of how we empathize and how we talk to our students and how we connect with our students and build rapport and trust, which helps us get over the line.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kavi. So we'll wrap it up now, and we've gone slightly over. So hopefully everyone has enjoyed that and has learned something. I know I did. As I said, I'm going to go and practice these techniques now. Sam, thank you very much for coming on board. Kavi, thank you for explaining a little bit about the program. If you are interested about the programs that Future School has to offer, you will be sent an email with some contact details. We will also send this video out to people who have registered, so you can watch the video again just to write down those notes. When's the next intakes, Kavi?
So the diploma will probably be next year now. I think we've just got one more intake specifically for Auckland Council coming up, but the rest looking at next year. So yeah, if you're thinking about training plans for your colleagues, for yourself, if you're looking at some professional development, or for your staff, get in touch and start talking about your 2024 plans. We are starting to do that planning right now.
Perfect.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Kavi. All right, everyone, we'll wrap it up there, and we'll see everyone in the next webinar, probably in September sometime. So cheers, have a good day.
Cheers, Rob. Cheers, Sam.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.